begin that process of deciding and exploring?
Well, as you probably am aware, I've been coming up to New Hampshire now for several months because of the Unlocking Potential project, and to try and help great candidates like Frank, who now thankfully has been reelected. And today's visit really was to support the release of this very important report. In the course of those visits and travels, many people have said to me that I ought to consider it. So I'll pause and reflect and consider it at the right time. Okay. But I have no announcements for you today. You know, I think politics in general, in both parties, politics in general needs to recognize that women are 53% of voters. And I think both of our political parties need to be as broadly diverse as the nation they want to represent. I also think that we need to move away from identity politics. Identity politics is the kind of politics that says, well, you're this kind of person, therefore this is your issue, and you're that kind of person, therefore that's your issue. Identity politics is divisive. And I think we need to recognize I'm a conservative because I know our policies and our principles work better for everyone, regardless of their circumstances. And so I think we need to reach out to every American. I think our parties need to look as diverse as the nation. And we need to speak to people about the issues that matter to them. There are a whole series of pieces of legislation sitting in the House of Representatives that haven't been acted on that would make a difference, that have bipartisan support. They need to go to the Senate and get voted on. And then they need to get sent to the president's desk, and he can decide whether he's going to veto them or not. Bipartisan tax reform is one of them. We have to reform our tax system. It is crushing our competitiveness, not to mention disadvantaging small businesses versus big businesses. So we need to get done what's already on the books to get done, point one. Point two, I believe we have to begin a systematic inventory of every rule, every reg, every law that's in place, because it has become a crushing load on this nation. And number three, I think we need to do in every state what the state of New Hampshire is doing, and that is to take an honest, rigorous look at what is the environment in our state for young people, for entrepreneurs, for competitiveness, and begin to drive that change from the bottoms up. There are other things that have to happen, but those three things would be a big step forward. I think that it's really important that the American people understand the issues that face us as a nation. I also think that politicians are as much to blame for the lack of substantive dialogue as the voters are. You know, you'll hear politicians, not this one. I mean, this is an example, this morning's conference, of a substantive discussion about the issues that matter. But I hear a lot of politicians say, well, we got to get it down to a soundbite because voters need it simple. I actually think voters blame that on politicians. I think what most voters want is a substantive conversation about the issues that face them every day, because they know things aren't going well. That's what all the polls say. So my view would be, let us take for granted that the American people are smart, they understand what's going on around them, and it is the role of leadership to engage them in a serious dialogue about what we should do differently, not to manipulate them with sound bites that rile people up but don't solve a problem.